Okay, it shows I'm live now. Let's see. See if you can get in there now. And I will try to do the same.
I see you.
Good.
Hi, Mr.B.
Let's try this. I'm going to try to bring it up on this computer. There we go. All righty. Now then, let's see.
Where's Mark Hill?
Let me adjust the camera. Good God, that looks terrible, don't it? Okay. Running it on the computer that's behind me. That's better than nothing. Let me try shutting this off. That'll help, I'm sure. That way. Hello, Becky. I see you there in the chat.
I put it on.
Yeah. I'm going to like my own video. Anyways. Let's see if I can get...
I don't know what I'm doing.
Damn it.
Yeah, to me.
Copy. Go over here into random.
I'm going to send this to channel to see if it works.
There you go, Mark. Hopefully you get that.
Mark. Oh, good. Okay, you already did it.
Yeah, we'll get it figured out sooner or later. Hello, Mark.
Oh,
good to see you. Oh, there's Bridget. I thought you was going to bed, Bridget.
Oh, Bridget too? Wait.
Yeah, Bridget's in there. I've got and Garth Russell, Keisha Fowler. How y'all doing?
How come he's wrench? Wait a minute. Garth is wrench? Damn it. I want a wrench. Mike, if you don't give
yes. Well, give me just a second. I got to remember how to do this. Darn it. Because I trust all you guys.
You can trust me. You know me. I'm taking no shit.
Oh, I know why I can't do it. I'm on the wrong account. Let me go over here to this computer and add as moderator. Keisha, add as moderator.
Becky Scarlett, moderator.
I thought I did. Hang on a minute.
I don't know. Let me type something else. There I go. At Mark Hilton at Rotation Bridget. At Garth Russell.
Let me try one more time. Now it shows you as a moderator.
That's Garth Russell. I am blue. Hello, world.
All right, there we go. God, this camera sucks right now. Actually, it's not the camera, it is my internet. But such is life. Wow, look at that chat room. Just got all kinds of wrenches flying around. All kinds of wrenches. All right, now that we at least
time each other out. Oh shit.
Oh, it'll be okay, Mark.
I know I can't hide anyone. Me either.
It'll be okay, Mark. But anyways, okay. Basically, I wanted to talk today. Well, let me adjust this camera about The Second Amendment, stupid tripod. The Second Amendment, uh, Virginia, and the governor of Virginia, and the legislature of Virginia. Uh, Basically, the Second Amendment is non negotiable, it is part of the Constitution. These rights are not granted to any of us, they are God given rights that the founding fathers said that the government may not infringe on. These things are set in stone. You know, that is my viewpoint. I support the entire Constitution, not just one part of it. I support the whole thing. The governor and the legislature of Virginia apparently does not believe in the Constitution of the United States of America. They've got the idea that they need to limit what kind of guns we can buy, how many we can buy at a time, and how we can use them. And last time I checked, last time I read the Second Amendment, it doesn't say anything in there about any of that. When the Second Amendment was written, the founding fathers had it in their minds that we needed all men to be able to own weapons to ensure a free state. And that if there was a time when a tyrant or tyrannical government was put in place, that we could overthrow said government. It's not about hunting. I mean, even when it comes down, well, it is when it comes down to it about defending your property. I've been in several chat rooms tonight, watched live streams covering what's happening in Virginia. And one of the most ignorant comments, and this comment comes up all the time in these type of chats, is in one stream, a chatter made the statement that they support the Second Amendment for non-military weapons. Think about that for a minute. For non-military weapons. Well, last time I checked, when the Constitution was written and the Bill of Rights was written, the military weapon of the day was the musket. And they wanted to make sure that all the people in the militia, which was all men of age, had a musket, which was the military weapon at the time. That is what the original intent of the Second Amendment was. Now, you take that statement, they support the Second Amendment for non-military weapons. Well, I've got an AR-15 over there. It's a non-military weapon. It's a semi-automatic. It is owned by a civilian. Therefore, it is not a military weapon. When the military goes in the field, they have a similar weapon, but it is automatic. My thinking is, then we should be allowed to have automatics. The founding fathers expected us to have the same weaponry
of the day
as what any enemy combatant that we could come up against would have. you look at not too long ago, people say, oh, the Second Amendment's outdated. That was then, this is now. Well, you look only back as far as World War II. The one reason Yamamoto didn't want to invade any part of the U.S. was because, as he said, behind every blade of grass would be an American with a rifle. That's why we don't get invaded. That's why we do have a secure country. But yet the Democrats and the liberals seem to think that it could never happen here, or that used to happen a long time ago. We're so evolved now. No one would ever invade. Well,
They're already invading us in the border.
We already
have ice cells.
You have got the legislature and the Virginia governor all within our country that's trying to weaken us by taking away our rights. Now, I know Mr. Helton, Rusty, myself, Rubin, which I don't see Rubin in here tonight, but we have all served in this country's military, and we took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And domestic is this no good lying sack of shit governor of Virginia, and the no good sacks of shit that are in that legislature trying to legislate these gun control laws. It's not gun control. It's citizen control. They're not worried about the guns. They're worried about the citizens that have the guns. If I'm not one to incite violence in any way, shape, or form. I don't want to overthrow the government, although they probably need to be. I'm not some right-wing nut that's out playing army in the woods every weekend. I'm just an average American that has served this country, and I find it an offense that there's lawmakers in this country that want to take away your constitutional rights and my constitutional rights. Where do we draw the line? What rights are you willing to give up, America? You've got a lot of people apparently in the state of Virginia that are willing to give up their constitutional rights. So which one's next? Freedom of religion? Freedom of speech? Yeah, maybe they just want to repeal things and go back to having slaves. I think that amendment that abolished slavery was a pretty good thing for us to do. But maybe the Democrats don't think that way.
Well, they want us all to be slaves.
They just want to pick and choose. Well, it doesn't work that way. The only reason this country has worked so long is because the government has been afraid of the people. But nowadays, people expect the government to do everything for them and take care of them from cradle to grave. That's not what our country was founded on. That's not how our country was built. People went out, they made their own lives. They didn't expect the government to give it to them. And if we let them win here, where are they going to stop? The Supreme Court of the United States already has found that the right to own a gun is a personal right. So how do these people in Virginia think that their laws are going to stand? They're unconstitutional. To me, the laws in Chicago are unconstitutional because Supreme Court said that it's an individual right to own a gun, to own a firearm. So how do these laws stand? You want to know how they stand? Because the sheep allow it. They don't stand up because, oh, well, they're just going after the gun owners. They're not coming after me. That's what the people in Nazi Germany said about the Jews.
Yep.
I mean, think about that for a minute. You look at some of these gun laws they're trying to push through. That's 1930s Germany.
Mm-hmm. I'll repeat that.
You've got all these liberals and Democrats saying how Trump is a Nazi. Now, if you look at most of the liberals, they're the Nazis. They don't want you to be able to have your free speech because you disagree with them. Well, last time I checked, I signed on that dotted line to protect everyone's right of free speech, whether I agreed with them or not. So, you know, they're the type of people that when they point their finger at you, they've got four fingers pointing back at them.
They're going to lose.
Then you've got this governor saying that the people can't assemble and have any of these weapons. Baseball bats, knives, guns, whatever. Anything.
Stick.
You can't even have a toy gun.
Or a stick.
Or a stick. I mean, can I do this? If I'm there, can I do this? Or are they going to arrest me for making a finger gun? I mean, is that not tyrannical? And then they say that they've got to do this because the pro-gun people are going to cause trouble. No, pro-gun people just want to preserve their rights. The only people that'll come in and cause trouble are the left-wing wingnuts, the Antifa people, and the Democrats that are pushing the gun control. That's where the violence will come from. Because people that own guns, people that carry guns, we are well aware of the responsibility that we have. We just can't willy-nilly take and go out and shoot people. It comes with great responsibility. But the left, You look at the left, ever since Donald Trump won the election, there has been more violent protests in this country ever since then because they cannot accept the fact that this country elected Donald Trump. And they've been trying everything they can to get rid of it, all the way up to impeachment now. And it's still not going to work.
Nope.
But if we sit back on our butts and don't do anything, then they will win. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about who's going to be in the White House next year or whether you can go next year in the state of Virginia and buy a gun. They want to limit you to one handgun a month. I don't see the point.
They can't limit. There is no limit.
I mean, the last time I checked, Second Amendment didn't say you can have all these weapons, but only one a month. I don't see any limitations on the Second Amendment. But yet people will support that state government trying to take away constitutional rights. Now, I've lived in the state of Illinois. For a lot of years, I lived in Illinois. I had to have a photo ID card from the frickin' state patrol, firearm owner identification card. You had to have that even to pick up a gun in a gun shop, just to look at it. You had to have that and show that just to buy a box of ammo. Yet someone from out of state could come into Illinois and buy ammunition and just show their driver's license. So it wasn't about the ammo, wasn't about the guns. It was about knowing who had the guns and getting permission from the state. Well, now I live in Mississippi, thank God. Mississippi has a different viewpoint. We have constitutional carry in this state.
What does that mean, Michael?
What does that mean? Well, it means I can open carry with a gun right out on my hip, or I can conceal carry, or I can even walk around town with my AR-15 slung on my shoulder. Means I have a constitutional right to keep and bear arms. And I don't need a permit from the state government to allow me to do that. And that is the way all states should be.
I don't know who is
If you can pass the background check, which I really don't have a problem with the background check, but anything beyond that, I have a problem with. It's like the old saying of letting the camel get its nose under the tent. Or to take a quote from I guess it's an old movie now, but if you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want a glass of milk.
What movie was that from?
That was from the movie Air Force One. You give the government any kind of leeway there, they're going to go after more. They won't stop. I mean, if just let's say that Virginia got these laws passed, you couldn't buy more than one handgun a month. You have to pass a background check for any weapon whether it's your dad passing down a family heirloom to you, you'd have to pass a background check.
Right. Grandpappy can't give you a shotgun.
Exactly. You know, it's just if
What
they
they did with abortion.
if they get these laws passed, what's going to come up next? You can't have a certain caliber. You can't have more than 10 rounds of ammunition in your house. I mean, they already try to limit the size of magazines. I mean,
you can't have
just for instance, in the state of California, this is illegal. Of course, I can't shoot nobody with this, but this magazine is illegal in the state of California. I can sit here and play with this all day and no one's going to get killed unless I put it in my rifle, lock and load, and then aim it at somebody and pull the trigger. You know, AR-15s are supposed to be so evil, yet mine, it must be the laziest AR-15 out there because it's never jumped up and run into town and started shooting people all by itself.
Right. Collect knives.
But to a lot of these Democrats, I'm a danger because I have an AR-15. It's a high power rifle. No, it's not. There's a lot more powerful rifles out there than an AR-15. They have a lot more powerful rounds. That's right, Mark. Your gun won't even clean itself, will it? There's a lot of things a gun can't do because it's an inanimate object. It's a hunk of steel made into a shape. It takes someone to make the effort to pick it up and then use it. And most of us gun owners, you know what we use our guns for? Target shooting, hunting.
Yeah.
But I'd much rather have one and not need it than to need one and not have it.
Just like, there you go. Thank you, Keisha Fowler.
That's right. That's right, Keisha. Guns do not kill people. People kill people. And until people in this country, and I know that you're a Democrat, Keisha, and I'm not
no Democrat. She just thinks she's Democrat.
I'm not picking on you in particular because you've got common sense.
Yes, she does.
It's the ones that don't have common sense that I have an issue with. I've lived under Democratic rule. I've lived under Republican rule. As long as they stay out of my business, it's fine. But when
Democrats are moving to an authoritarian, tyrannical government. The left has gone so far left.
Yeah, the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party of JFK is dead and gone.
Yep.
And has been for a while.
Yep.
A Democrat, like they used to be, I wouldn't have a problem voting for them. But the way they are now, they've went so far left. And they pander to every little group. Every squeaky wheel, you know, just like the last election. The way Trump won is he appealed to the average American, not the people on the West Coast, not the people on the East Coast, but everything in between, north and south, east to west. It was these large cities, Democratic run large cities, that voted for Hillary. That's their right. And I'll stand behind their right to vote the way that they want to vote. But just like the idea of trying to get rid of the Electoral College, Electoral College is there for a reason, so that people like me in Mississippi or like some farmer up in Nebraska, that we have just as much say in who the president of the United States is as someone that lives in California or New York or wherever. It kind of balances the books, makes everyone count, not just the people on the West and East Coast. But the Democrats, the far left Democrats, would have you think different. So, I mean, if I had the money, I would be there in Virginia on Monday, because I do support the Second Amendment as well as supporting the rest of the Constitution. That's right, Becky. It was illegal voting, but irregardless, it's just like trying to get all these illegals to come in and register them to vote. Well, in my view, you should have to be a citizen of the United States to be able to vote. Period. End of subject. If you ain't a citizen, you don't vote. But apparently, I'm part of the old school that needs to be changed out nowadays. Yeah. We've got old ideas. We're not the new younger generation. And I'm all for moving forward. I'm all for protecting the rights of everyone. I don't care what color they are. I don't care who they sleep with. I don't care what they identify as. We all have the same exact rights. None of us are special. None of us deserve special consideration. You know, there, there, there's another situation that came up in a group that I'm somewhat associated in. That someone thinks that we need to make some rules about this, that, or the other, and I didn't even know it was a problem, because we're all adults. We all look out for each other. So I don't really understand where we have to make this rule because of it. We're all decent adults that look out for each other. So we don't really need the rule.
What do you think's going to happen in Virginia when, what, 50,000? Is it 50,000 that are supposed to be in rally protesting?
It, you know, all that, hopefully, I really believe in the people, the the people that support keeping their rights are good people. They're not going looking for trouble. They're going to address their state government about these laws that are trying to be pushed through. And you've got the governor that basically is saying, oh my God, these people that own guns are going to come here and cause all this trouble. He's afraid of the gun owners. I mean, he should be. Not because they're violent, but because they vote and they're standing up for their rights. If there's any violence that's committed, it's going to be from outside sources like Antifa or some fringe group. It's not going to be from the average gun owners, because the average gun owners are law abiding citizens. No, Rusty, that's my computer. No cops outside. Let me move my cup here, and you can see a little bit better. I can change that. I can make it like that, or like that, or like that.
You're triggering.
I'm triggering. Or I can just make it a rainbow.
Oh, no. Please pounce on the rainbow.
Oh,
no,
Lordy.
No rainbows, please.
No rainbows? Come on now.
Overused. Poor rainbows are overused.
But, it comes down to that. There may be some outside forces that want to come in and cause trouble.
And FIFA.
But the average American gun owner, they're not going there looking for trouble. They're going there to address their state government. They're going there to stand up for their rights. And the governor of Virginia doesn't like that. He doesn't like to have opposition or people that want to stand up for their rights. This year is going to be a really big flux year. I think it's going to come to a head at some point this year. I mean, it's already started off with the whole Iran and us thing, which, all them people that were saying it's World War III and all this. You can ask some people that talk to me about it. I said that it wasn't going to amount to a hill of beans, because Trump don't want to get into a war before an election. then he would be playing into the Democrats' hands. All he wants to do is protect our country and our soldiers. If anyone pushes us into a war, it would be Iran. But Russia, they ain't got the money to even keep their forces ready. Their ships and submarines are up there sitting in port rusting. China could care less about what happens with Iran. The only thing China is really interested in is the South China Sea, where they can get more resources. Kind of like World War II Japan. They just want to be a world power and have all those resources for themselves. They ain't gonna go to war with us. Oh, we're the ones that give them all the money they've got. We buy all their cheap shit. They're not gonna cut their noses off in spite of their face. You know. Now that's not saying that we won't ever get into a world war. I just don't see it happening anytime soon. But Trump don't want to go into Iran. I mean, hell, we've been in Afghanistan and Iraq for going on 20 years. We don't want another 20-year war or 30-year war, because that's, once you take out Iran's government, you've got a vacuum there. And who's going to fill that vacuum? And even if you get a decent government in there, you're still going to have these insurgents running around causing problems. Unfortunately, that problem's not going anywhere anytime soon. That's why we're still in Afghanistan. That's why we're still in Iraq. Because of these groups like ISIS and Al Qaeda and whatnot, that all they want to do is cause trouble. Man, just like Iraq asking us to leave, or I should say they voted. They haven't officially asked us, but voting for us to leave.
Not all not the whole government. It was just
that is a stupid idea for them. Because if we leave, guess what happens? Iran's going to walk right across the border and take them over. Just like they wanted to do back in the 80s when the whole Iraq-Iran war was going on. And it's just like, just for instance, not to get off on a tangent, but the Pensacola shooter. Arab, Muslim, whatever you want to call it, from over there in Saudi Arabia. I understand why we were training them here, because this is where we have our flight school. We sold them F-18s. Well, we got to train them how to fly them. They ain't very good if they don't have a pilot that's worth a shit in them.
I thought Trump sent those boys back to Saudi. I don't think we're training them right now.
Yeah, they're being sent back right now. So I'm assuming now that some of our instructors, our flight instructors and whatnot, will probably have to go over to the Middle East to train these people. Even though our main school is here in Florida. So we have to inconvenience all these flight instructors to go over there. All because of one idiot was radicalized and shot some people and killed them. You know, it's he wanted to defend his country and wanted to learn how to fly jets and everything, yet he took it a step too far.
I wonder what the outcome will be in Virginia.
Well, I would say there's going to be a lot of arrests, people from both sides, because let's face it, there'll be some wacko nut job right wingers there and wacko left winger nut jobs there, and they will find each other. And at the end of the day, you'll have CNN and MSNBC and every liberal network out there reporting on this, saying, "See, look at how bad these right wing right wing Republicans are. It was all their fault. It's only our fault because we showed up." And that's what it's going to amount to. The people are going to be there, and all these agitators are going to come in just to cause trouble, make every.
Is this happening on Martin Luther King Day? Monday, Martin Luther King Day?
Yes, it is.
I find
Now,
that interesting.
I know it's their quote unquote lobby day. I don't know if they have a lobby day every month that the legislature's in session in the state of Virginia. I honestly don't know. But yes, it does happen to fall on Martin Luther King Day. But, in a way, that's appropriate because Martin Luther King fought for freedom, fought for his rights.
Right.
And that's what these people are going to do. So, I mean, that's me. I support the people. I don't support the government per se, especially the Virginia government. And this is the thing. Things like this is why it's so important that before you go in the voting booth, you have to educate yourself on who you're actually voting for and what they stand for. All the people that voted for these people, do I think they support taking away your constitutional rights? No. But these Democrats, when they got in there, they decided they were the majority, and they're going to push through feel-good legislation, make it look like they're doing something to combat the murders and mass shootings and stuff like that. Basically, the Democrats are putting on a show because I think that in their head they know that these laws are unconstitutional and they will not stand up in a court of law when it comes to the Constitution. So basically, they're just going to waste all the taxpayers' monies on taking a case all the way to the Supreme Court when they know it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be struck down.
That's true.
What I'm afraid of is that one of these days, mark my word, one of these days, you're going to have more liberal judges on the Supreme Court than conservative judges. And it's my view, it shouldn't matter whether you're liberal or conservative. Your job is to be a judge. And you're supposed to judge things by what the Constitution says.
Law schools are
Not,
indoctrinated.
not what you think the Constitution says. Not what you think that they would have meant. It's laid out in black and white what the government can and can't do. And it doesn't matter whether you're liberal or conservative. If you've went through law school and had all this legal experience, you should be able to look at that and say, okay, it says this. Not read into something else into it. Not say, oh, well, I think they meant this. No, it says exactly what it means. But one of these days, and by God, I hope I don't live to see it, but one of these days, there'll be a Supreme Court that will probably overturn some constitutional rights. I say I have faith in the system. It's people I don't have faith in. And usually it's the crooks that get elected. You look at all these people on the Democrat side that are trying to get elected to president. They're all anti-gun. Look at Bloomberg just as an example. If he had his way, he would disarm every law-abiding citizen. Now, he doesn't say anything about getting all the illegal guns. He just wants to take my guns and your guns and Joe Blow over their guns.
I don't think the American people are going to do that. I think that it would just cause total chaos, and maybe that's what they want.
Well, you know,
We're not going to give up our guns.
I really, really hope that that's the way it'll stay. I mean, I've got two daughters. One's 29 years old, other one's 21. 29-year-old was raised by her mother. I got to get her for a couple months in the summer. My youngest daughter, she was raised by me and my wife. My youngest daughter is very conservative, has a very good work ethic. She was sick as a dog tonight, yet she went to work. She doesn't take days off. My 29-year-old, on the other hand, she had to move down here from Missouri because she was losing her mobile home. And her mama wouldn't bail her out. And I told her she could come down here, but she would have to find a job and keep a job. She left her 2 kids up there in Missouri with her ex-husband, which is a no good SOB. She come down here, we got her a job working at the nursing home as a cook. That lasted a month. She wouldn't do her job, basically. So they let her go. For the past month and a half, she's been sitting around the house, sleeping until noon, staying up all night, talking on the phone and everything else. Now she's finally run out of money. I'm waiting to see what happens.
Maybe she could go work in a beauty shop and shampoo her hair.
She's trying to get a job working at the convenience store as a cashier, but she's got to get the interview first and get hired. And it's like I told her when she first come down here. She lived in a suburb of St. Louis. Okay. Big city, lots of jobs, da 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 da. When she come down here, she doesn't drive, so Dad's taxi has to take her to and from work. I told her from the get-go, we live 8 miles from town, and when you get to town, it's a town of 800 people. There's not many jobs. There's not many places to work. So if you get a job, you got to keep the goddamn thing. But there again.
Paul wanted to know who you were talking to.
Do what?
Paul wanted to know who you were talking to. That's just me, I guess.
Oh, looky there. It's Contow Creek. Look out. But, you look at Paul, for instance. He's got to deal with having Trudeau up there being anti-gun and wanting to confiscate the assault weapons. Every damn weapon is an assault weapon if you use it to assault somebody. But I honestly think that this rally that they're going to have, it's not going to change the legislature's mind. It's not going to change the governor's mind. They're going to push these gun laws through. But I think those gun laws will be struck down in the courts. There's going to be agitators from both sides that show up to make everyone look bad. And when it comes down to it, it's going to be a media circus. And the people that are going to get hurt the most are going to be the average law-abiding citizens. If the cops can do their job and keep the 2 groups separate, then that would be the very best outcome. But the governor putting this state of emergency into effect, you can't even have a toy gun, a plastic gun. You can't have a stick. You can't have anything that you might even in some reality, be able to use as a weapon. It's outlawed during those days. Apparently, you can't even have a pencil because you might write a bad word. Or you might try to poke somebody with it. Well, guess what? I don't care what you ban. That's all it is a ban. A criminal, someone looking to cause trouble, is not going to pay attention to that. They're going to break the law anyways. It won't be the average person that's going there to really protest what the government's doing. It's not going to be them that causes any kind of trouble. It's going to be the others. And yeah, doesn't even have to be a high heel. It could just be a tennis shoe for that matter.
No milkshake.
That depends on how frozen it is. Personally, I'd like to hit that governor with a really solidly frozen milkshake right upside the head.
He won't even be there. That's all.
Oh no, he'll be locked up in the governor's mansion, away from everybody. The state legislature, those people will be in their offices, if not at home. Ain't nobody going to be there at the state capitol when these protesters show up. They're doing it for show, is what they're doing. They're showing that they're not going to have their constitutional rights trampled. But the problem is, the government doesn't care. They got elected, so therefore they're going to push through their agenda. And that's why, like I say, that's why everyone, I don't care whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, you have to really know who the hell you're voting for before you pull that lever to vote for them. Because once they get in office, trying to get them out of office is near impossible. Just ask the Democrats. They're trying to do it with Trump, and they ain't been successful yet, and they won't be successful because these articles of impeachment are based on nothing but a set of lies. Just like, hell, I can't even remember the year, but when Bill Clinton was impeached, he lied under oath, yes. He wasn't going to get thrown out of office because the Democrats were in control of the Senate. Same thing now. Yeah, like I say, I couldn't remember for sure what year it was. But
Clinton's impeachment?
Yeah, Mark and Keisha both said 98. So
I must have looked it
up. I'll go with that because honestly, ever since I had that chemo and bullshit, it messed up my brain to where I can remember things from when I was a kid, but I can't remember what I had for dinner 2 days ago, But
98.
It's just a shame that our government You know, when our government was first put together, it was with the idea that, like, Congress people were supposed to be average, everyday people that would be elected to go to Congress, serve a term or two, and then come home and resume their business. But anymore, it's become a career. And the benefits that Congress gets that the average American does not get. We should be revolting against our government and putting things back the way they were supposed to be originally. But no matter who you talk to, they'll say the same thing. But when it comes to their representative, they keep voting him in because, oh, he's not the problem. It's all these other people that are the problem. They're all the problem. If you don't, it's like the shows. Lawmakers are just like diapers. They need to be changed for that reason.
Yeah. Yep. 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 Yep.
And I mean, you look at it in this day and age, do we really need to have Congress in session making new laws every year? We've got enough laws on the book as it is. It's just like these gun control laws. Enforce the laws that are there already. Don't pass more. Just enforce the damn laws that you passed 20 years ago. Empower the people. Don't take the power away from the people. But all these lawmakers, they go up there and make a career out of it. They could give a crap what the average Joe thinks. The only reason they'll give a crap is in an election year. I mean, it's just like we had an election last year. We had a pretty good state rep here, but there were certain things that he wouldn't vote for. And I had told him, you know, you're going to lose my vote. You keep this up. He chose his agenda instead of the public's agenda. Well, now he's back to just being a lawyer because we voted somebody else in. And it works on a state level, it works on a local level. But unfortunately, on the federal level, it don't work because the good people don't run. It's only the crooks that run for office. Because anymore, the media will shove a camera so far up your butt and investigate the average person so much. Nobody wants to go through that. The only people that are willing to go through that are people that can lie, cheat, and steal well enough to where they've hidden all that to where it's not going to be found.
Can we say Mark Landrew?
But your average person will not run for any kind of high office. On the local level, yeah. But that's one of them things where even if you do get elected and you go to either the state legislature or the Congress of the U.S. with the best intentions, they're going to corrupt you. All the guys that are already there, they're going to corrupt you. And they'll do it slyly. Hey, if you want to get this certain thing passed, then you got to go along with us on this. And it's all just a shell game.
What's his name? The attorney, good guy. What is his name? Oh, he wouldn't run. He wouldn't run anymore. I'm trying to think of his name.
I mean, that
wasn't Attorney General. Trey Gowdy. That's why Trey Gowdy.
Yeah.
Didn't run.
That's the thing. You've got, even when you've got good people that go, they have no chance in a corrupt city like Washington, D.C. Or, I don't know, Paul, where's your capital? What is it, Toronto or Ottawa? What the hell? I can't even think now.
He's in Ontario.
Ottawa.
Ottawa.
Okay. I was right the second time. Okay.
That's both.
But anyways, and it doesn't matter what country you're from. I mean, you look, Mexico, it's corrupt. U.S., the government's corrupt. You look at England, it's corrupt. France, Germany, wherever, they're all corrupt governments. Even Podunk, Africa, their government's corrupt. People are starving over there for no reason. Only because they've got a government that looks out for them and not for the people. And, it's sad, but we've got too many people in this country that will go along with whatever their lawmakers say, and they'll give up rights. I mean, just like after 9/11, when they pushed through the Patriot Act. I mean, yeah, we got to go after these terrorists and everything, but should we give up all our rights at the same time?
No problem.
I mean, I don't think it's a good thing anytime that people give up their rights. And like I said before, you let the camel get its nose under the tent, and before long the whole camel's going to be in that tent. You give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. It's
gotta get the swamp creatures out.
It'd be nice if we could, but it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, Unfortunately, any organization, when it reaches a certain size, the corruptness is going to come in. You look at any labor union, and it's that way.
Be good, but no more.
I mean, it's like when I worked at the Postal Service. I was a member of the union. I was a union steward. My one job was to enforce the contract. I'd go to these union meetings, and the local president and the local vice president and all this, they would be spouting, oh, you got to vote for this Democrat. You got to vote for that Democrat. No, I've got to vote for my conscience. I got to look at what's good for me. I mean, I'll fight tooth and nail for the contract. But just because somebody tells me I need to go out and vote for a Democrat, not unless their views jive with mine. And there was corruptness there. They have all this union money coming in. Well, by God, they can lease them a brand new Lincoln Continental for use for the union, but they use it every day. I mean, who benefits from that? Does the average worker benefit? No. The president of the union, he benefits. He drives around brand new Lincoln, gets all his gas paid for, his insurance paid for, all that. He could give a shit about what the membership thinks until it's time to get reelected to the presidency of the union. Then he puts on a good show and shows how much he cares.
I think the world is tired of tyrants.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Mark. Most of them are toothless because they can't strike. I mean, there's cases from when I was working for the post office, and I retired 10 years ago. There's certain cases that I worked on that still haven't made it through the court process yet. When it finally does, the union wins, they'll get some money out of it, and that'll be that, you know.
What's the ATC? ATC found that outbreak in ATC.
Air traffic controllers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Shut them down.
Yep.
I remember that.
Yep. I think we all remember that. I mean, you know, like Mark says, federal workers' unions are pretty much toothless when it comes down to it. The unions get whatever the government's willing to give them. And even then, you know, what gets me is they agree to the contract. And then they want to argue the fact later that they can't pay that wage because it's going to cost too much. Look, you signed the contract. It was there before you ever signed it. You know. And, you know, like I say, it comes, but to get back to the original point, the Second Amendment is not negotiable. None of the Constitution is negotiable, if you ask me. But you've got, unfortunately, these lawmakers that are going to waste everybody's time and money by passing these laws that they know in their hearts are not constitutional, and they'll be struck down by the Supreme Court. They just hope that by the time it gets to the Supreme Court, maybe they'll have more more liberal judges in the Supreme Court at that point. That's their hope.
Ain't gonna happen.
And if a lot of people in the country have their way, that might happen. Now, I've got faith in the average American that they're going to try to keep the government's power limited. But, you look at the last election, how close it was. And thank goodness it turned out the way it did. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with everything Trump does, because I don't. It's just like the statement he made that one time about guns. Oh, we'll take the guns first and then fight it in court later. It don't fly.
No.
So no, I don't fall in lockstep behind Trump. But right now, he's the best that we've got. I mean, you look at our economy, you look at the jobless rate, everybody's working that wants to work.
Mm-hmm.
Taxes are low.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone with an open mind that looks at these things will see that. But unfortunately, and it happens on both sides of the fence, you've got brainwashed people that no matter what facts you put in front of them, they're going to say it's a lie. And that's one of them things, you tell a lie often enough, and people are going to believe it to be true. Even though common sense tells them that ain't true. It's just like Obamacare. The whole if you like your plan, you can keep it. Yeah, we've seen how well that turned out.
That was a lie.
Forcing people to buy a product. The federal government actually forcing you to buy health insurance.
Or deduct it if you don't pay.
And if you don't buy the health insurance, by God, we're gonna fine the shit out of you on your taxes.
Out of your bank account. You was gonna pull it from your bank account.
Yeah. I mean, how American is that?
It's not.
It doesn't sound like that's an America that I want to be a part of.
That's Salowinski's playbook.
I mean, now there's certain parts of that that are good, like the pre-existing condition. Well, I've had a pre-existing condition for a long time, my type 2 diabetes. But generally, everywhere I worked provided me health insurance, and the pre-existing condition didn't come into it. Now, unfortunately, because I had to retire on disability, now I'm covered by Medicare. So a lot of that Affordable Care Act was just a problem looking for a solution. It's like old Nancy Pelosi said at that point, we got to pass it before we can see what's in it. What the hell kind of thinking is that? Pass it to see what's in it. Oh yeah, and it's very unaffordable. People that were paying $250 a month for health insurance went to paying $500 a month or more. Thunder, you can stay out there, you goofball.
Who's the goofball? What's going on?
My dog. He hates closed doors.
Be nice.
I close.
Dog, dog.
Well, see, I close the door to my office because my wife's in the next room sleeping. I'm up all night and everything. And my dog Thunder, full size Doberman,
Cool. Thunder.
he cannot stand a closed door. And he will sit there and paw at it and everything until he gets let in or let out.
Maybe he has to go potty.
Oh, if he wants to go potty, he'll let me know. I think the only reason he wants. Oh my God! Hang on a second. Jesus Christ, Thunder! Quit your whining.
Do like Steve. Take a break. Go let him out.
No, I know what he wanted. See, we've got this guy here. This is Thunder. Look at the camera, Tun. There you go. Look over here. There. See, Tun? They all wanted to see you. Yes, I know. You're a spoiled boy. His issue is he's the big dog of the house. He's 10 years old now. Well, I brought home a stray about 5 years ago. She only stands about yay high. Little did I know when I brought her home, she was pregnant. And she
Michael, is there noise in the background? Because Paul keeps asking whose voice is in the background.
Well, he's probably hearing your voice on the phone.
Is he our voice,
maybe? See, Becky's on the phone. So you're probably hearing her. But anyways, I brought home this stray. She ended up having a litter. My daughter had to keep 2 of the pups. So now we've got 4 dogs around here. Well, the female thinks that she's in charge of the house. And if Thunder goes to eat, the little female will run in there and growl at him and bark to take the food bowl away from him. So we've got a food bowl that's in the kitchen, and I've got a food bowl that's here in my office. And Thunder is also a daddy's boy, because me and him's been together ever since he was about 3 weeks old, 4 weeks old. When I first went to look at Dobies, they had a litter of probably 6 pups, and this one here followed me no matter where I went. He was right there at my feet. Just like he found my my Corvette. He didn't want to sit in the seats of the Corvette. That area behind the seats was his doghouse. What are you after? What are you after? You after your toy? You want that?
But I don't see Thunder. Where is Thunder?
He's laying down on the floor now, right by my feet. He getting one of his toys, aren't you, Tun Tun? Yeah, you's a spoiled boy, ain't you? Him's a spoiled boy, and he can't stand it when Dad's office door shut and he can't come in here. He does his patrol. He'll get up about 2, 3 times a night, patrol the house before he goes back in there and lays down in the bed. Got a queen size bed, and you got my wife and me and a full size Doberman that sleep in it. Isn't that right? Isn't that right, Bubba? Yeah, yeah, yeah. What? Where's your toy? Where's your toy? Where's Mr. Duck at? Did you leave him in the living room?
Mr. Duck?
Yeah, he's got a thing about stuffed toy ducks. He has a blast with them. I don't know how many stuffed ducks we went through because they are his favorite toys, aren't they?
I wonder if Steve is gonna cover all right. I wonder.
Do what?
Yeah. I wonder if Steve is gonna cover Virginia.
Well, he covered it earlier today.
What time is it
Uh,
in Virginia? I mean, what time is this all supposed to happen?
well, it's supposed to go on Monday.
What time?
I believe all day, but apparently the order or emergency order that the governor put through goes from
The weekend. Huh?
Sunday through Tuesday. And Steve did make the comment during his stream today or yesterday that he planned on covering it on Monday. Now, I think it deserves more than just coverage today and then coverage on Monday, but you know, who knows what'll come up between now and then. If something breaks with the Virginia story, I'm sure he'll cover
Come on,
it. He is watching it, but you know how that goes.
Maybe this weekend.
Yeah, sometimes you never can guess what Steve's gonna do. I mean, I've seen him cover uh, real important stories, and then I've seen him cover some stories that were nothing but fluff.
Yeah, but this is a big story if they start bunting.
Well, I agree. It's a very big story. I think anything where the government's trying to take away any kind of rights is a big story. But, you know, I just.
Who might get a new lamp? What is he talking about? What's Mark talking about? He might get a new lamp. Steve? Or what is he talking about? What you talking about, Mark? Lookner. Oh, okay, baby.
Well, he got the lava lamp. He did have that.
Bah.
we'll see how it goes when he unboxes it. I mean, you look at the stream tonight. He what opened four packages,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a long stream. I mean, when he does an unboxing, he definitely takes his time with it. He,
Like cleaning his apartment.
oh God, that one, that stream was kind of epic. That was it, and it's. I know he gets sidetracked and everything, but that's a small apartment. It shouldn't take you 15 minutes to clean that apartment, but you know,
Hell there.
I'm just, you know, I get shocked sometimes by Steve. It's just like tonight when he was doing the unboxing, and that Robert had sent him the disposable box cutters. Here's a man that's not that much younger than me. I'm 53. I think Steve's like 48, if I remember correctly. 47, 48, somewhere in there. And he doesn't know how to operate a box cutter?
Oh Lord,
You know, it just,
that's terrible.
it shocks me. But then in a way, it doesn't, because like one of the people that my daughter works with
It's not rocket science.
just hasn't been uh, exposed to a lot of things, so she's not aware of them. And I think Steve's been that way, that he never really cooked for himself and never really had a reason to use a box opener or many tools, you know. And like I told him in chat, don't be intimidated by it or any tool. You know, he was saying he was scared of knives. Don't be intimidated by it. Just learn how to use it. Don't be scared of it. Like I said in chat at one point, I'd love to get him out on a gun range and see him shoot. But then again, the way he's intimidated by certain things, I don't know how well it would go. Because it's one of them things where you have to be in control. And to be in control, you can't be afraid of whatever you're using. I think y'all are having too much fun in the chat.
Where we at? It's all your fault. I was going to make Hungarian stew, and then you decided to come on. So I'm going to have to get up early and make that stew.
Oh yeah. What was it that Mark called Rusty that one day? Or no, I think it was Contal Creek. Called Rusty Movie Boy or something like that.
Rusty is a movie boy. He runs the movie theater.
Well, not only that, he loves movies.
I love movies too.
That's the advantage of Rusty's job is he gets to see all the movies when they come out. I don't think I've went to a movie theater and
Yeah.
oh goodness, lady, you little witch. Thunder was over there eating. Here come lady in here. Yeah, you're gonna bark now, aren't you? Hush, hush, Thunder. You little twerp. Let's see. There's Thon. And this is what he's barking at. His lady down there eating the food. Lady, hey, there you go. Look up here. People want to see you. Yeah, I get all kinds of entertainment by dogs barking at each other and going after each other. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, free popcorn. I was wondering about that, Rusty, if that 1917 was worth a darn.
What was it about?
It's about World War II or World War One.
World War One or the Revolution?
I don't know the exact premise behind it, but basically, it's the backdrop is World War One in France, I imagine, and apparently the main character has to get through to another part of the lines or something. He's like a messenger or runner. "1974 Blazing Saddles." That was a great movie.
Awesome. Awesome.
I mean, let's see. Right here, you got me the Mel Brooks collection. Let's see here. High Anxiety. There it is.
Good old Mel Brooks.
Blazing Saddles. Silent movie. High Anxiety.
I only went for the great looking blonde myself.
Men in Tights. Let's see. Oh, here's a classic. Young Frankenstein. I love Mel Brooks. He's he can make a good point by using humor, and that's one thing in this PC culture that we have lost: the ability to laugh at ourselves. He, you know, he can make a joke out of the racism in social situations that nowadays.
Those movies wouldn't be allowed to play today.
No, nowadays you couldn't make the movies. There is, I don't think there's one movie studio that would produce any of these Mel Brooks movies in this day and age. Just for the simple fact, young people in particular, don't have a sense of humor no more.
True. Everybody's triggered.
Everyone's so sensitive and gets butt hurt so easily over the slightest little thing. Like I say, if you look at, like I say, there's situation that I'm aware of in a group that I'm in, and you've got someone making a big deal over a rule that's not even a problem. It doesn't make any sense to me. If it's not a problem, why have a rule for it? Yes, yeah, you're exactly right, Mark. People look for things to be offended by. It's just like, well, you take our state flag here in Mississippi, for example. How many people are all upset about the Mississippi state flag? You
They
know,
need to get over it. State flag.
it's part of history.
They can lay a
The the
chicken face on
flag
our beautiful monument.
the flag is only racist if you see it as being racist. The flag is just that, a flag. It's what you see in the flag. It's just like the American flag, for instance. To me, when I look at the American flag, it's a gives me a sense of pride and stands for justice and freedom.
It reminds me of all those that
But
gave their lives.
some people will look at it and say, "Oh, well, that represents a racist nation." Only if you want to see it that way. It's a flag. You know, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, just like a Confederate statue. You know, it's history. These things happened. And people getting all upset about a statue, they're getting upset about history. Well, they benefited from that history in one way or another. If it wasn't for the Civil War, they wouldn't have their freedom. If it hadn't been for the Confederates, there wouldn't have been anything to fight for. You know, people got to look at the big picture, not the little tiny part. And anymore, you've got people that just concentrate on the little bitty things instead of the whole big picture.
Study Winston Churchill is all I got to say.
What's that?
Study Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
Winston Churchill. Y'all thought he was a warmonger and he saved Europe.
Well, Churchill was the right man at the right time.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, you had people like Neville Chamberlain that thought a piece of
Traitor.
paper could hold back the German army. It wasn't that way. Uh oh. Lost you, Becky. But anyhow, yeah, it's, you have great men that come up all through history, the right men at the right time. Uh, and some people, I mean, one of my personal heroes from World War II uh, was Chester Nimitz, Admiral Chester Nimitz. If it hadn't been for his leadership and plans, I don't think the war in the Pacific would have turned out quite the way it did. I think it would have took a lot longer. But there again, he was the right man for the job at the time. Of course, Admiral Kimmel got screwed over that whole thing. I mean, he was just a scapegoat. But that's like I say, I think the right men come along at the right time. And, you know, years down the line, we may see that Trump was exactly that, the right man at the right time. But we've got to get through a lot of stuff first. And this Virginia thing is one of those, because it's basically the American people's rights being thrown under the bus. You can't have freedom when you're taking away constitutional rights. And they're doing it everywhere, whether it be California or Illinois or Virginia or New York. All these places are trying to take away your constitutional rights in one way or another, whether it be guns or you look at some of these college campuses, you can't even speak your mind without the left raising all kinds of hell. Uh, it's just sad, and hopefully things will get better before they get worse. But I have a feeling this year is going to be a rough year to get through, and it's going to try a lot of our patience. A lot of it. Just like I have to give you guys props for being able to go into that Second Amendment stream earlier, because I couldn't do it. Because as a mod, I couldn't do it. Now, on this account, I could go into chat and speak my mind, but I couldn't do it as a mod. And like I say, that's the one thing I'm passionate about. What? Go to bed. My wife got up, go to the bathroom. She was looking at me like I was crazy, which I am crazy, but that's beside the point. But like I say, I really hope at this point that that a lot of light is put on this Virginia situation. And whether it be uh, from the left wing media, as they say, any press is good press. Of course, the way they'll frame the argument won't put us in the best light. But it'll bring awareness to the situation. And I have faith in the American people that they have enough common sense, even though common sense is pretty much dead. But people will begin to realize that our freedoms are under attack. And it's not just it's not just the gun laws. I mean, you look at just about any situation. I mean, look at the criminal justice system anymore. The criminals have more rights than the victims anymore. Somebody gets sentenced to death row for a mass killing and it takes, 20, 30 years before they're executed. And I don't know how many different appeals. It's our freedoms that are under attack. It's the normal law-abiding citizens. And part of the way they get away with this stuff is everybody's got to work for a living. So they can't be aware of everything that's going on. They don't take the time to get involved because they've got real lives, jobs, family. So they can't get involved uh, like they should. And like I say, certain forces are going to keep pushing to the point where that's when the regular people of this country are going to stand up and say, no, no more. But I have a feeling we're going to go through a lot before we get to that point. I wish it was that way everywhere. One appeal is, unless they have new evidence and whatnot, I think one appeal is plenty. I mean, now, there has been people that have been proven innocent that have got off from death row, but those are few and far between. They're the ones that get the stories done about them. They forget to tell you how many people are correctly convicted and sitting on death row for 20, 30 years. Hopefully, nowadays, with DNA and whatnot, there's less chance of wrongful conviction. But that's a double-edged sword where you've got it now where so many people have seen all these TV programs like CSI and NCIS and all this, how they do the DNA in under an hour. It doesn't work that way. That takes weeks. And you can't always rely on that, because sometimes there's not going to be DNA. Are you going to let everyone off that doesn't have DNA? You know, there, there's there's got to be some common sense that we can find. You know, and unfortunately anymore, like I say, common sense is, well, it's not so common no more. But I say I've got faith in the people of this country to be able to tell when they're being hoodwinked. That's a good word too, hoodwinked. I like that one. Yeah, exactly, Mark. If there's 5 witnesses and they see you do it, then yeah, I'm gonna get off here myself there, Becky. I've been talking and talking and talking, and I'm sure all of you is tired of listening to me talk. But like I say, I really hope that, yep, take care, Mark. Take care, Becky. I'm surprised Contal Creek's still here, but he might be on his way to work. Ah, you're not disrupting. Hey, next time we might have to set up some kind of Zoom or something. That way everyone gets a chance. All right, Mark, you take care, man. Well, like I say, I've run on for what 2 hours, over 2 hours now. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up myself. 3:30 in the morning, maybe I'll play a little bit of Fallout before I have to go get my kid. So I think we're gonna